Hi friend, welcome back to Floor 27. My name is Siposihle Jafta. I'm your host, and today I am here to talk to my people pleasers. If you are a people pleaser, put your hand up. Put your hand up right now and come to the front. This one is for you, right? And I think I'm probably the perfect person to speak on this because I come from those trenches. Girlfriend, I was raised on those streets, okay? People-pleasing streets, I know them as well as I know the back of my hand. So listen up. This one is for you. I am here to drag you off of those streets. I'm here to drag you out of those trenches and bring you to the other side because there is more to life than these messy, crazy situations you keep getting yourself into. There is more to life. I promise you. Just cross over to the other side. In fact, I'm no longer even asking you to cross over. I'm here to grab your hand and drag you to the other side because life this side is sweet. It's beautiful. And you're going to miss out. Busy out here roaming God's earth, people pleasing, living a crazy life when you have the option of living as a healed, complete version of yourself. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to place a demand on you to live as the more authentic, full, happy version of yourself. And to get this conversation started, I am going to just reflect a bit on a conversation that I had with a friend of mine, right? That I guess started off my thought process for this episode. So a friend of mine is chatting with me and she's telling me about an issue that she's having with another friend. And she's like, this girl, she is so inconsistent. She's unreliable. She's dishonest, and she's just really expressing her frustrations with this other friend. And I'm listening to her and I'm like, man, why does this sound so familiar? Why do all these characteristics sound too familiar to me? Why does it feel like you're describing me? Why does it feel like you're describing who I used to be, right? So I'm sitting and I'm listening. I'm like, you know what? I can immediately identify just from the story that you're telling me that there are very clear traits of a people pleaser. You are dealing with a people pleaser here. Everything else that you're saying is very surface level. The dishonesty, the inconsistency, the unreliability, all of that is surface level. But the deeper issue here that you're dealing with is that this person is a people pleaser, right? And I said, it's unfortunate because as someone who's a recovered people pleaser, I know that as people pleasers will present as being spineless, being unreliable, being dishonest, being inconsistent, and as much as they present that way, the deeper issue for the people pleaser is that they are so empty. I said to my friend, I know that all of these characteristics you've pointed out are such an inconvenience to you and they're so unfair on you. You don't deserve all of that. You don't deserve to be experiencing all of that. But I do know that on the flip side, on the other end, the people pleaser is feeling so empty within themselves. There is a deep void that they can't even put to words. They can't explain, and I think that is the hardest part of living the life of a people pleaser, that you're constantly feeling empty. You're constantly feeling unfulfilled. You're constantly feeling just a sense of coldness within you, like something is missing, there's a gap that nothing can seem to fill and satisfy, and you feel discontent within yourself. You feel like you don't belong in this body, like you've literally borrowed someone else's body. Your own body doesn't feel like home. You feel like a fraud, actually. On every other day, you wake up feeling like a fraud, and truly and honestly, it's because people pleasing at its core and the root of people pleasing is a deep dissatisfaction with yourself and a deep rejection of yourself. You have rejected yourself. You've rejected your truth. You've completely abandoned your value systems, or you never even had value systems to start with. You've rejected yourself. You feel like you're not enough. You have a big question of worth. Like, am I worthy of acceptance? Am I worthy of love? And the answer for you is simple. It's no. You feel unworthy, and because of this unworthiness and feeling like you're not enough, there's then a secondary issue of the fear of rejection, because you think of yourself as being unworthy and you think of yourself as not being enough. You believe that the world is constantly ready to reject you, and you feel, at your innermost core, you feel like you don't know how to stomach that rejection. You don't know how to take that rejection that you are afraid of because of the fact that you believe that you're not enough. So with all of this happening within you and all of this brewing within you, what do? You perform. You put up an act. You're constantly performing to try and satisfy the needs and the wants of those around you. You are the friend that's always easy to say yes. You're the friend that's always easy to sway and convince into things. You're the friend that never opposes anything or expresses their true opinions on things. You're the friend that's always trying to assimilate. And you're the friend that always overcommits and overpromises, and constantly when the environment places demands on you, you perform to satisfy those demands that the environment is demanding. You constantly perform to satisfy the demands that are coming in from your environment, right? So you live a life of performance. And now here's the catch, right? Performance is unsustainable. The performance is unsustainable. I can assure you it's going to catch up with you. I can tell you for free that it's going to always catch up with you. You're going to get tired of performing. You are going to overpromise, overcommit, and fail to show up. You are going to come across then as dishonest, unreliable, inconsistent, because the performance itself that you're putting up is unsustainable. And now you have these labels attached to you. People think of you as dishonest. People think of you as being spineless. People think of you as being easily swayed. People think of you as being just inconsistent, unreliable, people think of you as not having integrity, lacking integrity. People think of you, people take all these labels and they attach them to you because the performance was unsustainable. And I know for a fact that when all of these labels are attached to you, it breaks you to the core, because primarily, and to start over, in fact, the genesis of your people pleasing is the fact that you think you're not enough. So you're performing because you're trying to be enough. And then when the performance itself falls short, now you spiral. Now you fall into these depressive episodes. You struggle with anxiety. You feel a deep sense of not belonging and rejection. You're hard on yourself. In fact, you speak hatefully towards yourself because you're mad at yourself that, how pathetic can I be? I'm not enough. And then I try to perform so I can be enough. And even in performing, I suck. So you develop really hateful language towards yourself. You really don't rate yourself, to be honest with you. You don't think of yourself as worth anything. You don't think much of yourself. You think quite low of yourself. This is now affecting your self-esteem, so you're in this vicious cycle stuck, and this is what I think the craziest thing is with us people pleasers, right? Or maybe just with me. Maybe you guys are no longer people pleasers. Actually, let's just make this about me. You guys have overcome this. You're on the other side, right? Here is the tricky thing with people pleasing, or what I find interesting about people pleasing, is that oftentimes people pleasers think that they are not enough without actually taking the time to get to know themselves. A lot of the time, people pleasers never actually got to know themselves in the first place. They've never really spent the time getting to know themselves, spending the time discovering who they are, what they like, developing a value system for themselves, discovering and uncovering their truth for themselves and living in it, right? So we reject ourselves before we even get to knowing ourselves. And maybe there was an incident on the playground when you were a kid, that you felt like in that moment you had shown up as your most true and authentic self, and maybe you were bullied or you were just rejected on the playground, and you've taken that trauma and you've grown up with it and you've carried it with you your whole life, and you've disqualified yourself before ever getting to know yourself. But here's something that I'd love for you to gently consider, is that if that is the case for you, where your sense of rejection for yourself or towards yourself started off at school, you were a kid, would you consider that the kid that was rejecting you was also just a kid? They also didn't know how to navigate social environments and social interactions best. They were literally kids with underdeveloped social skills, and perhaps they were just reflecting what they were experiencing at home. Maybe they were being raised by a bully, or they had siblings that were bullies and were never held accountable, and their homes were unsafe, and they used to take everything that was happening at home and they would come and practice it here at school on the playground. And they rejected you not because you weren't enough, but they rejected you because they were rejected first at home. And now you've taken that and you've carried it with you your whole life, and you've never given yourself the chance to get to know yourself. Because truly, for people pleasers, this sense of feeling like you're not enough and rejecting yourself, there's a seed that was planted at some point in your life that made you believe this, And I'm thinking of if maybe your scenario is a bit different, right? You were rejected at home, your parental figure rejected you, or maybe it was a teacher, who made you feel like you were not enough, There is no adult in their sound mind who would intentionally make a child feel like they are not enough. There's no adult in their sound mind who would traumatize a child like that unless they themselves were broken and struggling with things. You know how they say hurt people? That person was probably hurt. They probably needed to go to therapy. And you internalized they took their self-hate, projected it on you, and you internalized it. And now where we are today, where you have grown up to become this people pleaser and you are deeply unsatisfied with yourself. And now you walk around performing. But a lot of the time, the jig is going to be up. Performance is unsustainable, right? So now you have all of these labels attached to you, and you'll find that if you actually took the time to get to know yourself, because you didn't even give yourself the chance to get to know yourself. If you actually took the time to get to know yourself, you'll find that you're a pretty cool human being. You're funny, you're witty, you're quick on your feet, you're a quick thinker, you are bubbly, and you're gentle, and you're compassionate, and you're kind, and you're very intelligent because of all that time you spent alone as a nerd as a kid. You'll find that you're actually a pretty cool human being. And if you had taken the time to get to know yourself, your true authentic self, you would have never ever plateaued on those people pleasing streets. You would have never, because you would have realized how much value there is in you. And you would have never even attempted to please a single human being, because you would have known how much you're worth, and how much value there is in this true, authentic version of you. And I think that's where the robbery is that we don't give ourselves the chance to get to know ourselves and to experience our true, most authentic selves. And we choose people pleasing first before going through that journey of getting to know ourselves. We choose people pleasing first as almost like a protective mechanism, because something or someone along the line made us think or believe that we are not worthy of love and acceptance, or that we are not enough. But on the other side, I promise you, on the other side of people pleasing, there is so much life. Life is vibrant. Life is beautiful, because now you're in this vicious cycle where you think you're not enough. You've rejected yourself. So you put up this performance, but the performance is unsustainable and it's not enough. And now the people who matter so much to you, who you're trying to impress, don't even rate you. They think you're inconsistent, you're dishonest, you're unreliable. They don't even like you like that. Some people just keep you because your brokenness is convenient for them. They just like when you always say yes to everything that they they want from you, but they actually truly think that you are a spineless person. They wouldn't really recommend you as a friend to someone else, so you're stuck in this vicious cycle. And when all of these labels are being attached on you, when you're presenting in the world as being all of these things, unreliable, inconsistent, untruthful, you are beating yourself up, practicing more self-hate, drowning in depression and anxiety. So you're stuck in this vicious cycle. People pleasing is unkind. People pleasing is unkind to the host. You as the host, the one who is keeping this people pleasing syndrome, it's unkind to you. It's vicious and it's violent to you also. It's damaging and breaking you further by the day, but like I said, there's life on the other side. It's beautiful on the other side, because then one day you get enough of this. You're like, I don't want to live this life anymore. I don't want this for myself anymore. I'm tired of these crazy situations that I keep getting myself into. I'm tired of being a clown. I want better for myself. I want to live in my true, most authentic self. And you take the time, because the truth is, it's going to take time. Then you start to invest time in getting to know yourself. What do I actually even like? Because maybe even the things that you like aren't really things that you like. You just like them because your friends liked them. And that is a people pleaser at its core. You like things that are convenient to the people around you. You like certain things because they like them. You like certain things because your boyfriend likes them, because your parents liked them. You don't even know what you like. So you take the time to go onto this beautiful journey of self-discovery. If you always bought vanilla ice cream, try chocolate, and you'll find that, damn, you actually really like chocolate. You're really a chocolate girl. It starts with the little things. That I recently discovered that I don't like running. And guys, I used to run every morning for 5 kilometers since I was 18. That's 9 years. And I recently discovered I actually don't like this. I actually don't enjoy this, but I like other things. I like paddle. I like tennis. I grew up playing tennis. I like other things that keep me active and fit. And it's been so fun to find things that I enjoy, that make me laugh from a truthful and authentic place, that make me laugh until my stomach hurts. I like things that bring me joy and satisfaction and fulfillment. You take the time to learn yourself. And I've got good news for you. In that process of learning yourself, love is a natural response. You start to fall in love with yourself over and over and over again. And you start to realize the things that you like and the things that you value, and slowly you build your value system. And then now suddenly you have boundaries. Now suddenly your time is more valuable, and you're more picky about where you spend your time and what you do, and there's just a new, fulfilled, full version of you that feels at home in your skin and in your body, and now you show up differently in the world. And a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, showing up differently in the world, you're going to go to places that you used to go to before, and you're going to get there and you're going to be like, I must have been out of my mind thinking these environments were good for me. They cannot contain me. I'm worth so much more than this. So some things you're naturally going to shed off, some things you're naturally are just going to let go of, and you're going to discover your true community, and community that actually aligns with who you really are. You're going to discover you're going to discover where to draw thoughts about yourself. You're going to discover where to draw thoughts about yourself that are more fitting and more productive to the you that you're trying to become. And maybe for me to break this down a little bit, right? This journey of self-discovery sounds beautiful in how I've put it, right? But the truth is, it's got difficult days. It's got lonely days. And there are going to be days where you're going to have to sit with yourself. It's going to feel lonely while you're trying to discover yourself and who you like and what you like and your preferences and all of that. Some of those days are going to be lonely because your nervous system is going to be feeling out of place. You're going to be feeling shocked, out of place. A lot of this is going to be new for you and just unexplored ground. Everything is going to feel new and a little bit foreign, but you're going to do it, right? And you're going to have to sit with your thoughts about yourself and your feelings about yourself, and when they are unkind and unproductive to the new version of you that you're trying to become, you're going to have to sit and ask yourself where they come from, where they originate from, and you're going to have to uproot them from their place of origination. And that uprooting is going to take forgiving, is going to take letting go, is going to take unlearning and rejecting all of these thoughts that are unproductive and unkind to the new version of you that you're trying to become. And then you're going to have to learn to adopt new feelings and new thoughts about yourself that are more productive and gentle and kind and compassionate. You're going to have to find new places of origin for those thoughts. And those thoughts are going to have to be rooted on a foundation that is stable and that is strong, and one that is made of love and gentleness and kindness. So this journey, it's got good days and then it's got tough days. But trust me, when you get through the tough days, you get stronger. You fall more and more and more in love with yourself. You develop boundaries. You're more picky with yourself because you know how much work you put into developing this new version of you. You're just like, sometimes you're just gonna be like, hey, listen, I said I was gonna be here for 2 hours, I'm out, and everybody's gonna be like, no, don't be the party pooper, stay. And you're like, no, I'm good, thanks, because you've got a date with yourself, you've got some self-care to do. You start to value you, and you valuing you is going to teach the people around you to value you as well, and how to handle you and how to treat you. And for some people, they're going to reject this because some people liked the broken version of you. The broken version of you was more convenient for them. But some people are going to embrace you and love you for who you are in your growth and in the new way that you are presenting in the world, And there's one last point that I want to cover, because we're being honest with each other, right? As a recovering people pleaser, something else that's difficult is the shame that we sometimes carry as we're crossing over to this new version of us, because some people still think of us as inconsistent, as unreliable, as dishonest people. Some people still think of you within the context of the old you that was a people pleaser. Some people, at the end of the day, you're on this journey alone. You're transitioning alone. You're growing alone. You're on this journey of transformation alone. And some people are still looking at you in the light of who you used to be before, right? And sometimes we carry that shame with us. We're shameful about the crazy situations we got ourselves into. We're shameful about the people that we used to be. We're shameful about things that we did then and things that we allowed, and you carry that shame with you. And that shame, it's a difficult thing to carry on this other side, and it threatens to hold you back, right? But I want to say this to you, right? That version of you, people pleasing requires a deep sense of brokenness. And that version of you was extremely broken, lost. Girl, you were out of your mind, okay? And you didn't have the capacity to make better decisions for yourself and even the people around you. And it is unkind of you and unloving of you to beat yourself up for a time when you didn't have the capacity to do and to be better. It is unkind and unloving of you to expect yourself to have shown up better at a time where you didn't have the capacity to do that, and for you to keep reminding yourself and to keep yourself a prisoner of that time and that version and that season, right? So I'm not saying we shouldn't be accountable. We're definitely going to have to take a lot of accountability. A part of the journey of healing and recovering from people pleasing is taking accountability for your actions and the person that you used to be, and serving apologies where they are due, taking accountability for your actions, saying, hey, I was not in my best state. I was not in my best state. I didn't have the capacity to be a better friend then, and I'm sorry that I wasn't a better friend. I'm sorry that I was dishonest. I was ashamed. It's about taking accountability. That is a huge part of the journey, right? But then another huge part of the journey and another important part of the journey is giving yourself grace, giving that version of you grace. She didn't know better. Trust me. She did not know better. She did not know better. And if you're going to keep yourself a prisoner to shame. Because of that, you're not going to grow. You're not going to be able to fulfill the growth that needs to take place in order for you to truly step into the new version of you. And don't take people with you into this new life who are going to keep shaming you for who you were before. There's nothing wrong with your friends keeping you accountable, correcting you with love, keeping you accountable. And when they see that you're starting to unbecome and go back to that person that you used to be, or they're seeing signs of you practicing those old habits, it's okay for them to remind you, to call you out, to remind you of the end goal and the new you. It's okay for them to correct you with love, because that's what true friends will be, and hold you accountable. But it's not okay for them to shame you for who you used to be. If they're doing that, it's people that need to be let go of. You know what I mean? So don't carry that shame. Don't carry that shame. And I hope in your journey of letting go of people pleasing and just becoming your true, most authentic self, you learn to practice acting from a place of consciousness instead of responding from a place of habit. Because as a people pleaser, some of those habits are still going to exist and live in your body. The habit of always saying yes, overcommitting, overpromising, all of those habits, those people-pleasing habits that you used to have, some of them still live in your body. They are engraved in your subconscious. You know, your body is still holding on to some of that trauma. And you need to try and get yourself to a place where you don't respond habitually when the environment places demands on you, but you respond consciously. You ask yourself consciously, what do I want in this moment? How do I want to show up in this moment? How do I want to present in this moment? Yes, the habit is there. Listen, your body is going to be itching to respond first out of habit, but you're going to have to learn to pause, to say, hey, consciously, how do I want to respond? How do I want to show up in this moment? What would be true to me, to my value systems, and to my community that I now love and appreciate, this new community that I want to honor in a different way? And you respond from a place of consciousness instead of reacting from a place of habit. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to habitually react and maybe catch yourself in a moment where you said yes when you actually should have said no, or you've overstayed. You said you were going to leave at 5, but now it's like 6 p.m. because you're scared to disappoint these people. It's okay to also pause in that moment and say, actually, no, I take that yes back. No, the correct answer is no. I just thought about it, and actually it's not going to work for me. You know, it's okay to change your mind, and it's okay to pause and say, hey, actually, let me honor myself. I know that I was slowly starting to go in the wrong direction. I was starting to go in the people-pleasing direction, but I'm turning around. I'm making a U-turn until your body learns to let go of those habits, to let go of that trauma, and your subconscious is reprogrammed and restructured to honor the new you. On that note, friend, I'm going to wrap it up and call it a day. Like I said, we'll probably revisit this conversation again sometime in the future, because like I said, I am a recovering people pleaser myself, and you literally learn something new every day. So maybe one day we'll have a part 2 and we'll, discuss and unpack more subjects on this matter. But for now, I'm going to pause it there. I hope that you found this episode refreshing. I hope that you learned a thing or two. I hope that it allowed you to exhale, and you felt seen, you felt heard, and you felt not alone. For once, you felt not alone. But I love you so much. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week, and I'll see you again in the next episode.